It's the morning cryptos, and something happened yesterday. Something happened pretty decisively. Right after I uploaded the morning cryptos, I was watching these weird kind of patterns, these wedges, and they were showing up in every single currency that I was following. I wasn't even following Bitcoin Cash, but let's just use it as an example. Um, what happened? We had these tops. These tops were lower, but the bottoms were lower too, right? Bottoms were lower, and then all of a sudden, boom! It just dropped. It literally just dropped. And then look at the what we have now. This is the 1 hour chart, by the way, of Bitcoin Cash and US dollar. And we have another little wedge here. So these wedges, it seems to me like anything could happen wedges. So I want to just really quickly go through each of the different currencies. Here's pretty much what I was looking at yesterday. I was like, the bottoms are higher, the tops are pretty much. This is almost the classic breakout to the upside pattern, and yet it dropped. What the hell's going on, right? What the hell is going on? That's Bitcoin. Dash, it was interesting because yesterday morning, here it was, and it broke out to the upside, kind of like I expected. And then it broke past that to the downside. And now on Dash, we have another wedge. This is interesting. So again, I think these wedges could be either bullish or bearish, right? It's like something's going to happen, but it's the energy of the market is coming down into a point, and then it's boom, or it's boom. It's again. This is the hypnosis of money. I'm interested in this as the EKG of millions of people around the world. What their thoughts are, and how these markets are reacting to news, right? And the news is from China. And it turns out that there were a couple of, incendiary articles about, the end of the age of cryptocurrencies, right? And people panicked, either that or people panicked, or people who really know what they're doing were like, "Ooh, let's sell," And that's the question, and that's what I'm trying to learn how to do, is to be able to read these markets like a hunter can read a trail. What's going on? Where is there profit for me, the small player here, and how can I learn how to do this? So anyway, this is the Morning Cryptos. My name is Mark Shepard, and every day after I wake up, do a little meditation, center myself. I make my coffee, and I come in here and I look at the cryptos to see what the hell happened while I was asleep. And this is day 41 of my 90-day challenge, which started on July 31st, which was to dive deep into the rabbit hole of cryptos to really discover, is this something that I can actually make a living doing? Is it something that will contribute to some of my other projects? Is this a place where I can raise money to record my music? And ultimately, this is such an incredibly enjoyable space for me because it is change, it is transformation, and it's happening right before our eyes. It's like a little window into the history of humanity here. Really, this is a revolutionary idea that we can create digital storage of value. And it's only possible because of the internet, right? And that's only possible because of the infrastructure of electricity, of all the things that we've created in the last 100 years. And this is a leverage point into our future. So let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum was a little different yesterday because I drew these lines, and this is the 1 hour chart. I'm just I want to go through all of these kind of quickly so you can see how similar the patterns are. This was a little bit of a bearish sideways range, but it dropped like a rock too. And now we're in a little wedge. We're in a little wedge here. Let's see if I can adjust this a little better. There we go. This more looks like a bullish wedge, but again, what do I know? I'm just looking at the charts. I'm not listening. I'm not monitoring Chinese news every second, right? And I think that's like these rumors fly. And what are rumors? It's hypnosis, right? Do you believe the market's going to go up, or do you believe it's going to go down? Do you believe you can continue to do this, or do you believe that it's time to get out, right? Those are beliefs, and that's a hypnotic process of the human mind taking external experience, external information, and interpreting it in one way or the other. And that's something that is that's fascinating. Let's look at Litecoin. See, I had drawn literally yesterday. This is the chart from yesterday. I mean, I haven't touched it. I drew this little wedge, and then it dropped like a stone. And now we have another little wedge here. And this is what's concerning me, is I was like, okay, well, it's still above where I got in. I'm still in the money here. Let's see if I can bring it down a little bit. But yeah, is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? I'm going to leave those little tails there. Interesting, and look at Monero. Same deal. We had a nice sideways trading range, but it was a little the highs were a little bit lower, so it was kind of more like that, and then it pumped up, and then it dropped, and then what do we got here? What we have left is this weird little cluster. Again, this is the 1 hour chart, so just keep that in mind. I just wanted to go through the 1 hour chart on all of these and not get too tangled up in the details. I just wanted enough details so you could see. This was fine. It was kind of kind of working along, ready to move up, and then the news hit, and it crashed. But the good news is, right, it didn't go to zero, right? And now I'm going to go back. Let's just look at the 1 day chart of all of these. And it's not really that big a deal, right? In the context of this move up, it's a to be expected kind of little bit of correction. And I think we're going to keep going up from here, because what's the long-term trend? The long-term trend is up, right? At least I hope. What do I know, right? I'm just a student. I'm just a student of the human mind, and let's get Litecoin on the 1 day chart. I do this circle around this area because let's get rid of this. All right, so if you're looking at the 1 day chart, we're fine. It's fine, people. It's going to be okay. Right? It's going to be okay. But this is why this is so incredibly interesting, is because the news in China, the rumors in China affect us here, right? We are now a world that is connected in so many ways, which is it is more and more insane for our world leaders to not get along with each other, because we're in this together. We're all on this planet together, people. So what's going to happen next? I don't know. Personally, I think the long-term trend. What's the long-term trend? Let's start really looking at long-term ideas. I mean, I'm trying to keep a long-term mindset, and to understand. But right now, good place to pick up some Ethereum. Look at it. It's down to it's in the 300, 305 range, right? And if I had more capital, I think what I'm getting is that there are certain places where you could put buy orders in so that if something like this happens, you could benefit. If a flash crash happens, boom, you're there to pick some up on sale, right? But that you also have to believe that this is not the beginning of a huge bearish move to the downside. And I don't see any of the fundamentals indicating any kind of long-term bearishness. It's really, I think, temporary, but it's actually healthy because, again, it helps the market to consolidate and to get used to these new price levels, right? And if you look at Ethereum, it is smack dab right in the middle of its price swings, right? We got a chunk below, we got two chunks above. And these double tops, I think, are indicative of where Ethereum really wants to go, aside from any rumors. And the thing is, I would think that Ethereum would be the one that would be affected the most because all the ICOs are being built on the Ethereum platform. And if China's cracking down on the ICOs, you would think Ethereum would be affected by that. But it's not really, because the ICOs are just one thing that's being built on Ethereum. So, all right, let's look at Dash on the 1-day chart. So on the 1-day chart, you can see something here. I think Dash is headed up, right? But who knows? Who knows where this line really should be? Right? Or maybe the line should be here, right? We can draw these lines any way we want. It's like looking at the constellations in the heaven. It's just a bunch of stars, but our mind wants to collect it into a pattern that makes sense, right? So this is what the human mind does all the time. That's why this is the hypnosis of money. And hopefully you're interested in this stuff, because I think if you understand it, it can make you money. And that's why I'm studying this so intensely every day, and why I'm so obsessed with this, because I think this is just one of the great human experiments of all time. And there will be a point where we will look back at this and go, remember that weird little Chinese rumor, And here's Bitcoin again. And regular old Bitcoin, it's going up, people. This is just temporary. But it's interesting because it is, let's kind of look at some of these. It's altering the steepness, right? It's kind of adjusting a little bit. And I think that's healthy, and I think it's normal, right? These things have moved up so fast. I don't know what those lines do. Hopefully you guys aren't laughing too hard at me. Those of you wizened, hardened traders out there watching this. The question is, what's it going to do next? But look at these bottoms. They're all higher, right? Yeah, we had a kick up, and then we had a correction, then we had a little kick up, and then another correction. But look where it is today. It's still higher. I'll move this line down. This is where it is today. It's still higher than it was 4 days ago. Even with all this nonsense. So that's the thing is, I don't watch the news because the news is highly hypnotizing and highly manipulatable. Manipulatable. We are manipulatable people. Our minds are manipulatable. We grab onto bad news. It's so much stickier than good news, right? So just be aware of that. And personally, when I make a trade, I try to do it for a fairly long period of time. And for me, my biggest position is in Litecoin, and I have a sell signal up here. That's where I'm looking to take profits, and I've got to be patient. If I wanted to take profits earlier, I could have gotten out at any one of these spots. I could get out right now with a profit, right? And maybe we'll watch this whole market come down, and I'll have to wait even longer. But that's I'm not a day trader, so to speak. I'm trying to learn how to do that if that becomes an option for me. But ultimately, it's watching these markets and understanding that ultimately they want to go up because more and more people are coming into the space. But then there's going to be steps back. That's just the natural thing. I've been saying it for weeks, and I'll probably say it forever. There are corrections. But we get emotional and we get scared, particularly new people who aren't experienced. And if you have experience and if you can be patient, there's a lot of money that you can take out of these markets. And it's fair, right? It's a fair contest. It's not a Ponzi scheme in that sense. But that's the if you think of a bank, right, and bank runs. Every bank is a Ponzi scheme. They're taking money in, and there's something called fractionalized lending where they can literally give them $100, and all they have to do is keep $10 of your $100 on account, and they can loan that $90 out to somebody else, right? And another person puts $90 in, and they loan, or $100 in, and they loan 90 of that out. So they're really only holding 10% of the deposits, right? Doesn't that sound like a Ponzi scheme? And if everybody wanted their money back at the same time, the bank fails. It's called a bank run, right? These currencies are bigger than any perhaps individual bank, but we saw back in 2008 that huge banks could go down, right? Huge banks could crash. And one of the reasons why cryptocurrencies are so attractive is because we want to have some control over our own money. We want to own the asset. We don't want to give the asset to somebody else. So that's really the huge distinction. However, we're still people, and people are still prone to fear, to panic, fear of missing out, and that's where if you can master your mind for a change, you can have the winner's edge. So that's it for this morning. It's Saturday morning, September 9th. It is day 41 of my challenge. If you like this, please subscribe. I really appreciate your subscribing and ringing that little bell so you get alerts. And I try to do this early-ish every morning. And it's just for me, it's also a historical document. So I'll be able to look back. And I put each of these in a playlist. So this is week 6 of my challenge. Tomorrow is Sunday, the 10th of September, and that will be the end of week 6, and I will start week 7. And at day 45, I'll be halfway through, and I'll kind of give a synopsis of everything that's going on. And who knows, maybe this could be useful someday to somebody. In the meantime, I love your comments, people. I love hearing from you, and I appreciate The music at the beginning, yes, is my music, and I have a new CD coming out. If I can stop looking at the cryptos long enough to finish it, and working on the cover right now of the CD. Not that anybody even listens to CDs anymore, but why not? Why not just do what you want to do? And if you can make money doing something you love to do, and that frees you up to do other things you love to do that don't necessarily bring in money, that's the idea. So, I think that's all I got to say today. Other than, I wanted to look at Augur, because Augur was not affected, right? Look at the one-day chart of Augur here. Not affected. Not affected by yesterday, right? And so I'm bullish on Augur. Right? I was looking around for, is there some currency that hasn't been clobbered by this news? And Augur was not. Right? So it might be nice to have some currencies in your portfolio that don't seem to be affected by the news from China. And maybe Augur's too small, right? I don't know. So I'll be learning more about that in the days to come. And I think that's it for now. Thanks, guys. And have a great weekend, and let's stay positive out there, okay? It's all going to work out better than we could possibly imagine, because this is big. This is a big movement, and ultimately, no government will be able to stop it, right? There may be some setbacks along the way. They may try, but it's just like solar and wind. You know, the oil companies can try to stop it or slow it down, but eventually, it's going to come anyway, because we don't have any choice. It's going to happen. So that's it for today. All the best to you, my friends. Start the music, and I will see you the next time.